In a world.
In a world.
In a world.
world.
In a world where I'm the GM now. Welcome back to New Crits on the Block, everybody.
Oh, boy.
I'm your host, Benjamin Joseph Cheney.
Your host.
Full name. I'm hosting.
Are you hosting or are you GMing?
I'm co-host.
You're all co-hosts. Actually, that's a great thing to mention. We are starting a new story, a new game.
Against our will.
That's well. What else do you want to do?
I'm currently chained to my chair. I'm forced to be here.
Yeah, but I didn't actually put like a lock on those chains. You could totally just take them off.
Oh, I already did. That's how good I am. I Houdini the shit out of that chain.
That's how good I
am. We are going to be starting a new story. So we finished our campaign after so many years, and we want to keep playing and keep entertaining you guys. But we thought we would pivot off of D&D for a little bit. Don't worry, we'll come back to it at some point, I'm sure. But for now, we're going to be running a new game called Blades in the Dark. I don't know if anyone out there has heard of Blades in the Dark. It's gained some popularity in the last few years, as it should, because I think it's really just an excellent game, and I highly recommend that people check it out. In fact, we're going to go ahead and do a session 0 right now, where we're going to go into the world and our characters and what we're going to be doing here. And if any of you want to pull open, go to the website for Blades in the Dark, pull open the PDF and kind of follow along, look at the characters and what we're choosing, you're welcome to do that. It might grant an extra level of understanding to while we talk about this. And it's just kind of fun, and you should check it out. The thing I'm going to say about this game is that the reason why I chose this to be the next game we play is that, number one, you're not the good guys. In fact, in this world, there really is no good guys. It kind of sucks, and we'll go into why in a second. In fact, you guys are going to be scoundrels. You are thieves and murderers and cutthroats, because everyone kind of has to be to survive in this world. That's the first reason why I chose it, is that we kind of wanted to do like a darker thing, because we've all been good guys for so long, arguably good guys. And the second reason why is it's very collaborative storytelling and a lot less mechanic based. So obviously there's some mechanics to it. You still roll dice, you still have stat sheets and stuff, but there's a lot less specific rules. In fact, one of the biggest rules of this game is, for the general rule of thumb, I'm not supposed to say no. If you guys say you want to do something, you just get to do it. Now, you roll dice to find out how good you do it, but you still kind of get to do it, as long as it just like as long as you can just barely explain how it works. And so that's half the fun, is watching you guys do backflips to try to explain, oh, no, I can totally do this because I have this ability or this item. Even though it like sort of doesn't work, I get to go, okay, let's see how this turns out. And then we get to move on from there. So I'm going to go ahead and read off to you guys what the way I had said when I first pitched this to you guys. This was just my general concept of the world. And I had posted this in our Discord. I don't know if any of you had a chance to read this. But in this world... oh, no, that's not the whole thing. I'm the very bottom.
Oh.
I said, general concept of the world. The sun's been gone for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Ghosts and demons roam the lands. People live in cities surrounded by lightning towers powered by demon blood that keep the supernatural out. Food is scarce. Poverty is rampant, hope is lost, and everything sucks ass. But you're not going to take it. You refuse to die in the gutter. You'll get what you deserve, one way or the other. Welcome, scoundrels, to Blades in the Dark. And that's kind of a general gist of this world. Essentially, about 1,000 years ago, a cataclysm happened where the sun was destroyed. And for the last 1,000 years, people have lived in the ruins of cities. The world is in a state of perpetual darkness, and ghosts and demons roam the land. You step outside the cities, and it is an inhospitable environment of death and ghosts that just want to eat you alive. Basically, everyone lives inside these cities, surrounded by lightning towers. Jake, to put it in perspective for you from an anime standpoint, it's like Attack on Titan. You're stuck inside these cities and you cannot leave. Because if you do, something will eat you. Only instead of it being giant titans, it's ghosts.
Not me, dude. I'm fucking I'm super tight with those ghosts.
Well, you could be super tight with those ghosts depending upon the character you play or the what they call playbook in the Blades in the Dark PDF. So I think the first thing we're going to do is kind of like, as we create our characters, we're also going to look at the world and kind of figure out how this world is going to be and the characters that we're going to play. So when if you look at the Roll20, I have put up the basic map of the world. So you can see that in this world, there's a couple different continents. We start, and most of the game takes place in the city of Duskval, which is located at the northern tip of Akaros. Duskval is kind of a melting pot of all cultures. There's people from every continent there. It's where the story starts and takes place. It's divided up into multiple different sections, and we'll get to that in a second. And all those different sections have different factions living there trying to survive. Somebody has created a new PDF called Ushelbi Shigria, who's touching things. And that city is divided up into a bunch of different factions and sections. However, this continent, this world, these other continents, they exist and things are happening there, and they're going to affect what happens to us in Duskval. And we all kind of get to decide that moving forward. There is like a couple small things that have to happen. In other words, in this world, there has to be no sun. There has to be ghosts. Everyone has to live in these cities surrounded by lightning towers. You know, demons and ghosts and all that kind of stuff has to exist. There's a couple factions that have to exist because they're central to like how things work. But the rest of it is kind of up for us to decide. So as we look at our character choices and our crew, that is the type of scoundrels we're going to be, we can also kind of decide the world. And it's sort of designed for us to all do that together. And I'm going to, for the most part, not say no to you guys. I want us to kind of create this world together. So I'm going to move us over to the next map, which is the actual city of Duskval. You don't have to read
Everything's shaped like a butt.
Butts.
Can't say no. Everything's shaped like a butt. Where do we live in? Butt Town.
Butt Town.
Okay, Duskval is now called Butt Town. Congratulations.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Butt
That's what
Town.
Duskval translates to in the
Everyone
old.
greets each other by farts.
Oh, yes.
Is that where ghosts come from? Do you just fart out ghosts?
Oh, it could be.
Okay, see, that's now
Well,
we're
that's
here.
what happens when you
now
die,
we're
is you
world
fart out.
building.
Now we're cooking.
That's how a ghost is made, is when you die, you fart out your soul. So
Oh, yes.
that's the smell you're getting. It's not the methane and all the gasoline. It's your soul.
Yes. That's
It's your
the
literal
fun.
soul.
Yeah, the stench of a soul. You're just like, out it
So
goes.
within this
Butt
world, we're gonna within Butt City,
But
also known as Duskfall, which I'm probably gonna
Buttopolis.
yes, Duskfall, also known as Butt City, USA.
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 You can see it's broken up into all these different like sections, and those sections have names. That's not that imperative to us right now. Just know that the city is kind of built out for us, and that these different areas have different like vibes and feels. And the big PDF, the 300-page PDF, actually talks about each individual area in more detail. But this is just kind of a quick little landmark and district, just to know that you're stuck inside this port city located in the northern part of this continent, which is just a powder keg of different cultures and criminal activity. And you guys are going to be some of those criminals. So let's start by looking at our PDF, the Blades in the Dark player kit PDF, that kind of gives you a quick overview of all the different characters you can be. They call these playbooks as opposed to like classes, but it's essentially the same thing. We have the option of being the Cutter, which is a dangerous and intimidating fighter. The Hound, a deadly sharpshooter and tracker. The Leech, a saboteur and technician. To put this in like D&D speak, you basically got like fighter, ranger, alchemist. Then we have the Lurk, a stealthy infiltrator and burglar, a thief, the slide, a subtle manipulator and spy, a thief
Bard?
who's more social. Yeah, basically. The spider, a devious mastermind, the literal mastermind thief class, where you manipulate everything. Kind of a Sherlock Holmesy kind of character, weave your webs and get everyone stuck in there. And then the last one is the Whisper, which is an arcane adept and channeler. They're kind of a mage / warlock. In this world, there's not really magic per se, but there's definitely there is magic, but it's all like ghost and summoning related. You're not going to find anyone just be like, I make a fireball out of my hands. That's not really how this is. It's more like, I'm going to try and mess with this technology to fail. And now there's ghosts and I'm going to make this one follow my commands. Oh, I rolled bad. He's attacking me. It's kind of designed more like that. But ultimately, the end result is you guys are all scoundrels. And when you look at all these different playbooks, you'll see to the right of them, it has a lot of different things in here. But know that as you play, you just kind of start tick things off. If you actually look at it in Roll20, I can show you real quick. I'm going to pull up Christy's Scoundrel here. And in her playbook, if I want to click, I don't know could you see my screen where I pulled up Christy's thing?
Mm-mm.
Show 2 players. How about now?
Yes.
There we go. So if you look, let's say, for example,
there's nothing on it. Though.
Right now it's empty. So I'm just going to go ahead and say Cutter. Christy, you can play whatever you want, but I'm just going to pull Cutter up. You can see
I'm
it kind
saying
of.
I could just see bio and info on mine.
Still, I thought I fixed that.
I see the whole thing now.
Well, maybe for yours, but not for.
Oh,
us.
I'm so sorry because I didn't add can be edited and controlled by. That's why to you. For now, I'll just take everyone and we'll fix that later. Okay, there we go. You should have everything now.
Yes.
It's
Excellent.
loading
Well,
now.
it's loading, but
Yeah, give it a second. So when you look at this, it has like your name, alias, which is just kind of what you go by. So if your name is Buttville, USA, you can go by the alias, the Dark One or whatever you want to call yourself. Your look, that's personally just how you feel. Who just changed the name from Cutter to Slutter?
Hey, don't change my sheet. It's still loading for me.
Oops.
Mine's still
what
loading.
the heck?
Well,
What the
interestingly
heck?
enough, you could play a character who had a background of,
A harlot.
it has academic, labor, law, trade, military, noble, or underworld. So as a slutter, I don't know, would that be labor, trade, or underworld?
all three. All three.
All
All
three.
three, really. It's the labor trade of the underworld.
That's
Pretty
right.
much, yeah. So, I mean,
The
you can-
oldest profession.
The oldest
Yeah.
profession.
that is something we should probably bring up to anybody listening right now. Blades in the Dark, like I said, you're not good guys. This world sucks. People are just struggling to get by. If you have any particular triggers surrounding, the use of drugs, alcohol consumption, fights, murder, theft, you might not want to
Being really
listen.
cool and having a lot of fun.
Well, some people have had some rough stuff happen to them,
Hey,
so
Ben.
it's just kind of like trigger warning. This is we're not good guys.
If they got through that whole other campaign, I think we're good.
Probably, yeah. There's some stuff that I'm obviously going to leave, off the table, and I think they kind of, for the most part, go without saying. But there's not going to be any, descriptions of anything truly terrible, sexual assault, that kind of stuff. We will leave that, on the cutting room floor or describe it in no more than it happened for storytelling's sake. But you can pick a lot of different stuff, and everybody has a vice. So if you look on this sheet, you can see that it says underneath heritage, it says vice purveyor, where it says faith, gambling, luxury, obligation, pleasure. We have now changed the name to butt slutter.
I had to
And
refresh.
now-
I don't see it anymore.
What?
Damn it. I can't
I
see
didn't
the
change
chat.
anything.
If you go onto the top right where the chat is, there should be like a little book with like
Book?
2 little stars on it. Click that, and then you can click Christie's Scoundrel, and it'll.
Yeah, it should
load
be
up. Oh.
up. I hit the show to
Got it.
players button.
He refreshed
should
it.
Yeah,
just be
he had to
on your
refresh it.
screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it. This is. Hey, I
So-
just want to say we're doing great.
No, yeah.
This is
So
this is what
I don't know how the
was.
character sheet works now. I've made a change.
Yeah.
I
So where it
mean-
says Vice and Purveyor, basically as your characters commit scores, they call them scores in the game, or jobs, heists, whatever you're doing, in order to make money to survive in this world, you're going to start to get stress. And you can see this little box here. I'm going to start clicking stress. So I'm going to click 1, 2, 3. You can see they're turning red as I do it. As you do stuff, your character will sustain stress. It's usually your own doing, where you're like, oh man, I really want to succeed at this thing I do. So I'm going to push myself, which causes you to take more stress, or I'm going to assist this other character, which causes me to take more stress. And once you fill up your stress bar, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stress, if you take your full stress amount, then you develop a trauma. And once you develop a trauma, then your stress goes back to 0. And you now have one of these traumas located to the side. And traumas can really be anything. They're purely role play designed. So this says like cold, haunted, obsessed. This is just like you sustain so much stress that now your character is, and you get to decide. And it's kind of related to whatever happened. So if your character has let's say your character really is a worker of the night, right? And they have become somewhat, their profession and history and their background, and have sustained all this stress committing these jobs. Maybe they have become cold, like they just sort of don't care about people anymore. And then you get to role play that out, but you get to decide what it is. You just try to make it like relevant to the story if you can. Maybe they're vicious. Like at this point, they're just like, I swear to God, if one more person puts their hands on me, I'm going to tear their throat out. And it's like, okay, now you are a violent sex worker, and that's who you become. But you get to decide that. Once you sustain 4 traumas, your character is done. They can no longer commit heists and jobs. You basically retire them. And once they retire, how much gold they have amassed kind of tells the story of what happens to them. So on your sheet, if you look in the upper right below the little circle, it says healing. Underneath there's a coin, and it says stash. How much coin you've stashed away kind of tells your character's story at the end of this. So if you've stashed away a lot of coin, you're going to have a nice life. If you've stashed away very little, you're going to have a very bad life. You, in between jobs, have downtime activities that allow you to do different stuff. And one of those things is to indulge your vice. So we all have a vice.
Hell
and that's
yeah.
the thing that lets
Now we're
you
getting into it.
de-stress. And so when you indulge your vice, you roll some dice and you reduce your stress by that much. If you overindulge, meaning you roll more dice than your stress available, let's say you only have 5 stress and you roll a 6, then a bad thing happens, and we'll figure that out as we play. It's all narratively designed to be, role play designed.
I'm gonna straight up.
But just
indulge.
know that like you don't want to stress out, because when you stress out, you A, lose the ability to do cool shit, and B, bring yourself closer to suffering a trauma, which might be interesting to do for your character, or might, you might really not want to play an obsessed person at that moment, but that's where you're at. So just know that that's kind of how these scoundrels get by in this world is. They're committing these jobs and heists and doing their best to make money so that they can survive. Once we figure out our characters, then we can also talk about our crew. So the characters together alone, for example, a cutter, a hound, and a whisper walk into a bar. They in turn are deciding that they're part of a crew. And if we scroll down on the Blades in the Dark player sheet underneath Whisper and kind of keep going for a little bit, you'll see crew creation. And underneath crew creation, they have all these different crews: assassins, Bravos, Colt, Hawkers. You get to decide what kind of crew you are. And we don't actually have to do that today, or we can kind of talk about it. But you get to decide, like, are you guys murderers for hire, or are you a cult? Like, are you acolytes of a deity? Do you want to play that you guys are actually like worshiping some demon or something? Or are you shadows versus smugglers? You know, do you guys want to be playing those kinds of heists? You can play any heist. Your crew does not dictate that. So if you decide to be smugglers, you do not only smuggle. You can also commit other things like extortion or murder or theft. And you'll get hired by different factions and commit different things throughout the game, which will probably piss off other factions because everyone's out for themselves. So, you know, if you make a move against the people who maintain the lightning towers, let's say, they're probably not going to like you, and you're going to get a -1 reputation with them. And eventually, you know, you'll go to war with them, or you do jobs for them and they're happy with you and they give you stuff. But as you're doing this, there's no way that you're not going to piss off other people. You can't make everyone happy because everyone's against each other and trying to vie for resources. So just know, no matter what you do, you're going to make some people happy and piss some people off. And you just get to decide who those people are as you go. Or you roll real bad and you piss everyone off. We'll see what happens. So looking at this, do you guys see any playbook that looks interesting to you? Does anyone want to start talking about any of them? And know that the characters that you decide to be, I mean, we can change them before we start episode 1 officially, so don't think that this is like you have to do it this way. But even if you decide, okay, I'm going to be a lurk, I'm going to be a stealthy infiltrator and burglar who have certain abilities, you know, as the game goes on, you can retire your character or you can make another one. In fact, one of the things that can happen if you overindulge your vices, your character can become lost, which means they literally leave the game for a certain amount of time and you get to play a new character. So you're going to have other characters pop up throughout this that you're going to be playing, probably at least 1 or 2 characters, definitely 1, but maybe 2 or even maybe 3 characters, depending upon how your dice rolls go. So don't think, oh, this is how I'm stuck being this character forever. The other thing is, if you look at the very bottom of the special abilities for any of these characters, it says veteran. Choose a special ability from another source. You can totally be a veteran. You can totally be a lurk and take one of the special abilities from Cutter. So you're not locked into anything, but it takes more like level ups to do that. So, you know, you kind of want to get an idea of like, no, I want to play an alchemist, but I'm also going to take the fighter ability or whatever. So just know that you have like flexibility. So, let me ask, who wants to be a hard ass fighter versus a tracker who does like long range stuff versus a leech who's like an alchemist saboteur? And think about when you're committing acts, what kind of like character you want to be versus, you know, the lurk and so on and so forth. Something else I'll say is that when you're doing jobs, heists, what's the word I used earlier? There's a term for it. When you're actually doing the actual jobs,
Committing a crime.
right? When you're actually doing that, there's a term for it. I just have slipped my mind for a second. We don't plan anything. At no point am I going to sit down and say, let's plan out the entire heist. You don't do that. Think of it more like you're watching an Ocean's 11 or something, where we just kind of start doing it. And then along the way, as things happen, you just react to it. And it's like we're watching it and it's just, we act like we always knew it was going to happen, but our dice kind of tell us the story. And along the way, you do have an ability called a flashback, which basically means that during this story, you can be like, but wait, I'm going to take a flashback and say that I always knew I had to go into this poisonous room. So I have a gas mask, and I'm going to be like, okay, give me 2 stress for that. That's a big ask. That's a big ask to say that you have a gas mask. Or it might be something simple and I say, give me 1 stress for that. So your stress builds up pretty quick as shit goes south. My job is to create interesting environments for you guys so that your characters can find ways around them. The other fun thing about your characters are, if you look at their items, don't really worry about the items too much, because you do not have to decide what items you have when the score starts. Score, that was the word I was looking for. You get to decide as it happens. So when we say, okay, you're going to rob a bank, before we start, tell me what your load is, light, normal, or heavy. You're basically deciding how many items are you going to get to have on this mission. And you get to decide any item you want as it happens. So when you get to the safe and you're ready to open it and you say, okay, well, I'm playing a leech and I have the ability Saboteur. When you wreck, the work is much quieter than it should be and damage is hidden from casual inspection. You can straight up say, I'm going to go ahead and work with, I'm going to put some acid in the lock to dissolve it. And it's going to be really hard to tell and nobody's going to hear. And I'm going to be like, well, do you have acid? And then underneath your alchemicals, you'll say, yeah, I have whatever, this stuff. I'm looking, probably fire oil or whatever. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, you melt the lock. Now you have to give me a roll to say it works. But you know, you've managed to explain why it works, and it's quiet. And so, you know, I then create situations for that. But you don't have to say starting the mission, oh, I'm going to go in with these 5 items. It's like, no. You just have 5 items. You get to pull them out whenever you want. They can be whatever you want. And we just kind of act like you always knew that's what you were going to need. So it allows a lot of flexibility as you play to just be like, oh shit, I have this weird thing that happened to me, but I'm already prepared to handle it. And this is how. So it allows a lot of creativity, freedom, a lot of artistic liberties, which is what makes it fun.
I think I'm going to be a lurk to start.
What a shock. Awen plays the stealthy infiltrator and burglar again.
Well, the hound is more of a like sharpshooter tracker.
Yeah, that's the ranger for sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. The lurk is more of a thief.
Yes.
Okay. And so
I just
now
thought of a silly character for it, so that's why I'm going with it.
Okay. So under character creation, it says choose a plays book. Number 1. You did that. Great.
I did it.
And then it says choose a heritage. Detail your choice with a note about your family life. For example, where you're from and what you did. So let's start filling out your sheet as we're talking. Let's go ahead and close Christie's and pull open Matt's. There we go. I'm just going to go ahead and give everybody access so we can see as we do this.
Wait, so you're wanting me to fill this out now?
Why don't we just start doing it? We can always change it later. But, you know, and the reason why is that we're building this character as we go. So it says, you don't have to give me a name or anything right now, but you can. It says choose a heritage. So when we look here, we can see that it says heritage. Akaros, the Daggle Isles, Aruvia, Severos. Where are you from? So when we go back to look at the world, whoop, there we go. We're back on the world screen now. I'm going to read to you guys real quick these different places and generally what they are. And if we don't like that, we can always change it. So Akaros, which is the land Duskfall is located under, is a land of dark petrified forest and rocky hills. The rich coastal cities get their wealth from Leviathan hunting and from mining, deep mining colonies inside the island. The Akarosi are sometimes called Imperials since the Imperium began there. That is generally the overarching government of the world. They are generally fair-skinned and dark-haired. You can totally change. We can change what people look like and where they're from. Don't feel the need to follow any of that. There's also Severos, which is a land of Wimsep plains covered in dark scrub and thorny growths outside the imperial cities of the coast. Some native Severosi still live in free tribes. It's kind of like horse native, less industrialized kind of place. Then there's Aruvia, a land of black deserts, obsidian mountains, and raging volcanoes. Some say that the positions of power are openly held by demons in Aruvia. People are generally amber skin and dark haired. It's kind of designed to be sort of like Egypt, India, sort of Middle Eastern-ish feel. Again, however you want. There's the Dagger Isles, which is a tropical archipelago covered with dense jungle growth, now turned dark and twisted from strange magic due to the cataclysm. That's the thing that blotted out the sun 100 years ago. Some say the people there live without lightning barriers. How do they manage that? Native islanders are generally copper-skinned and dark hair. There's Skolven. I may have been pronouncing that wrong. A ragged land of cold mountains and rough tundra. Skolville was the last holdout against Imperial control. They are generally pale-skinned. It's essentially Nordic. And then Tycheros, a far-off land disconnected from the Empire. People say that the Tycherosi, generally rudely called strangers, have demon blood in their heritage. They're kind of fun because if you pick a Tycherosi, one of the big things you have to do is you have to pick what big characteristic about them sets them apart from others that make them look like they're demon tainted. They're kind of like tieflings, right, of the D&D world. But it can be anything. So you can be like, I'm playing a Tycherosi. However, the thing that makes them apparent is that their eyes are always completely black. They don't have any color to them. They were just always totally black all the time. Or you could say that they have, natural fangs and they're a little bit hairier. This one looks more like he's like a wolf person or something. And it can be anything you want. It's not like we're deciding the whole population is like that. It's just your character in particular is demon blood tainted, and this is how they look. So it can be anything you want. So you can give them anything. You can also say they're Tycherosi and they're from Skolven. Who the hell cares? You make it up.
Yeah,
And at the very
I think
bottom-
I'm from the mainland, Akaros. That's where he would be from.
Okay. And then at the very bottom, it says a note about the world. The Shattered Isles have wildly different climates due to magical forces left over from the cataclysm. The water of the Void Sea seems to be composed of opaque black ink, but it is possible to see constellations of shimmering stars far below the surface. The sun is a dim ember, providing only meager twilight at dawn and dusk, leaving the world in darkness otherwise. This was once a storybook fantasy world of magic and wonders, which was destroyed by an industrial civilization was built on top of it. And at the very bottom, it says, do not expect scientific realism here. So feel free to do whatever the hell you want as long as it's fun. All right, so Matt, you're going to choose that he's from Akaros.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And then it says choose a background. So if we look at our screen, let me take you back to that page. Whoop. And pull open your character. So we decided that he is Akaros, Akoros. Okay. And then what's your background? Academic, labor, law, trade, military, noble, or underworld?
Underworld. Not
bad for a slide.
Mm-hmm.
You said slide, right?
I did.
Slide or lurk?
No, I said lurk.
Lurk.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Dummy.
That's why I asked. Okay, so I got your lurk built in there. He's from Akaros. He has a background of an underworld. And then do you have a name for him yet?
I do.
What's his name?
Zinc. Z-I-N-C. No, Z-I-N-K.
Zinc. Does Zinc have a last name? We can always make it up later.
He's got a fake last name. He's got a moniker.
Okay, that would be the alias. So what's his moniker?
Zinc the Stink. He's a little stink.
He's a little thing.
Okay, gonna kill this character first.
Rude.
Good luck.
Zinc the Stink. Got it.
Zinc the Stink. Because he gets in there and just riles up a little stink.
Now, it says his look. We can kind of decide how we want the character, this world to be, but as a general, it's built to be kind of industrial revolution, Victorian, like 1800-ish feel. So when you look at character creation under the player, it's the second page under the player kit in the bottom right-hand corner, it says looks, collared shirt, heavy jacket, knit sweater. You can pick anything you want, but just going from that general feel of that Victorian thing, unless we want to do otherwise, do you have an idea of how Zinc the Stink generally looks?
Yeah. I mean, he's got a long trench coat. He's in all black, tall boots, black collared shirt, a very tall top hat, like Abraham Lincoln style. Yeah, just all black. Just,
That'll do. That'll do. Trench coat, all black, tall boots, very tall top hat.
Yes, very tall top hat.
Awesome. What would you say his vice is? What is the thing that Zinc the Stink does in order to keep him from losing his mind in this shitty world?
He's a gambler. 100%. Because he has to be so precise on all of his missions. He needs something that he can't control in a way almost to help him balance it out.
Got it. Love it. I actually jumped ahead about choosing your vice. I was just kind of going down the list. So we got your playbook, your heritage, your background. Let's assign 4 action dots. So when we first look at his thing, the lurk, he already has a couple built. He has 3 already done. And I think you actually, if I remember, I'm going to pull up another character real quick. You have 3 already, but you get to assign, I thought it was 2 more. Just quickly going to glance at this. No action may begin with a rating higher than 2 during character creation, after creation, action. So I guess you just get to put 1 more in. I swear to God, you got...
Well, you can probably move them around.
Well...
I think that's the pre-built ones, right?
So a lurk starts out with 2 in prowl and 1 in finesse. Let me go over these actions real quick, and that'll kind of help you better decide what you want this character to do. So when we look on the side of the screen here, we have, hunt, study, survey, tinker, finesse, prowl, skirmish, wreck, attune, command, consort, and sway. And they're all broken up under insight, prowess, and resolve. Think of insight, prowess, and resolve as your saving throws and as a general overview of these abilities. As you put skills into stuff, you get better at those. So for example, a lurk starts out with 2 in prowl and 1 in finesse. They have natural prowess capabilities, but they have nothing in insight or resolve. You get to assign, I think it's 2 more, and I got to look into this and I'll figure it out. But for now, we'll have you assign 1 more somewhere. So let's talk about what these abilities are and what they do.
Hey everyone, it's your favorite player, Matt, and welcome to this week's Middle Break. Welcome to the first Middle Break of our new, I guess a mini arc if you want to call it. We're playing Blades in the Dark. This is where Ben is going to take the GM role and play through a new game system for us. It's the first time I think we have gone through a new game system here on New Crits, so that's pretty exciting. This is just kind of getting our world in order, getting our characters in order, letting you guys know the rules, how we're going to play, what we're going to do. So hopefully it's entertaining to you all. We had a lot of fun getting everything all set, and then in the next episode, we're going to dive right into the action. So with that in mind, there's a couple things you could do to help our podcast grow. The first thing, subscribe, rate, and review to our podcast wherever you get our podcast from. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcatcher you use. Go there, hit the subscribe button, download all the episodes, leave a 5-star review, and write a little synopsis about why you like our show so that other people who stumble across it might think that they would enjoy it too. Also, make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter at New Crits. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at New Crits on the Block. We're always posting content there. Make sure to share that content to your own platforms. Tag people that you think might enjoy it. We only grow through word of mouth. So you doing those small things really does help us a ton. One of the ways we like to give back is we have our own Discord. Yes, it's a Discord for all things New Crits, but not all things New Crits. You can come in there, talk to the cast, talk to other fans, talk about the show, but there's other places to just chill too, okay? It is a safe space that we have cultivated over the last couple of years. We're so happy with the community that we have in there. Y'all are amazing. And if you're not a part of it yet, well, what the heck are you waiting for? Now, you might be thinking, well, Matt, I want to help you do all these things, but how do I get to all the places that you just mentioned? Well, from our link tree, of course, linktr.ee/Newkirks on the block will get you to all the places that I just mentioned. In some places, I didn't have time to mention, linktr.ee/Newkirks on the block. It is your central hub for all things new crits. All right, everyone, let's get you back into this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening thus far. Again, this is episode 0 for our new campaign, which we'll probably name shortly here. But this is just episode 0, getting you all set up, putting you on the ground floor, letting you know what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be playing it for the next episode to start, and we will dive right into the campaign. But as for now, let's get you back into this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening. As you know, we come out with new episodes every single Monday. That ain't stopping anytime soon. So until then, we will see you next week. We love y'all. Be safe out there. Be excellent to each other. We love y'all again. Bye-bye.
So here are the actions. Attune. When you attune, you open your mind to the ghost field or other arcane powers. So that's very magically based. When you command, you compel swift obedience. That's basically intimidate. When you consort, you socialize with friends and contacts. That's kind of persuasion. When you finesse, you employ dexterous manipulation or subtle misdirection. When you hunt, that's basically your sleight of hand / dexterity. When you hunt, you carefully track a target. I should let you know that hunting is also what's used for ranged attack rolls. So although I usually say you can do whatever you want, but as a general rule of thumb, if you're shooting a gun at a distance, you're hunting. When you prowl, you transverse skillfully and quietly. It's basically anything movement based. You can also say that, like, I run across a tightrope as everyone shoots at me. And I'm like, well, that's prowling, but you can use other stuff. When you skirmish, you fight, close hand combat. When you study, you scrutinize detail, you inspect. And when you survey, you perceive. You're looking at things and you try to figure out what's going to happen next. So Zink the Stink, what would you say his other points are in?
Let's see.
He already has 2 in prowl, so they're good at moving around, right? And you have 1 in finesse. Are you a fighter? Do you blow shit up?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot a few. Sway, you influence, guile, or charm. It's a little different than consort. When you tinker, you fiddle with devices and mechanisms. You're kind of a that's your tinker skill. I mean. And then wreck. When you wreck, you unleash savage force. You usually break, damage, or destroy shit. It's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah, I'm going to put 1 in the tinker for sure.
Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and click 1 in tinker there. Oop, I already did it at the same time.
How many of these points do you get to?
You start out with 4.
4.
But as we do stuff, you will gain XP.
Laundry's done. The laundry's done.
And as you gain XP,
the laundry's done.
You'll then get additional points in these things.
Oh, really? Is it your house, Ben?
I guess I turned off the signal on my laundry.
I heard the song.
Oh, not me.
Oh, not from us. You sure it's not yours?
Oh, maybe
the
your
ghost did my laundry.
Done.
Oh, the ghost hole did my laundry.
That's entirely possible. Yeah. So next is choose special ability. They're in the gray column in the middle of the character sheet. If you can't decide, choose the first one. It's designed to be like the one that's generally most helpful. So when we look at Zink the Stink, the Lurk, we see his special abilities. We have Infiltrator, Ambusher, Daredevil, the Devil's Footstep, Expertise, Ghost Veil, Reflexes, and Shadow. And at the very end, you have Veteran, which is choose an ability from another source. I'm not going to have you use Veteran yet. Let's stick within this.
Okay. Infiltrator, for sure.
You want to take Infiltrator. You are not affected by the quality or tier when you bypass security measures.
Yeah, that's my whole thing.
Yeah. So every time you do something, there is a tier to it. So if I say you're breaking into the bank and now you need to crack the safe, and I say, well, this is a tier 5 safe, you go, that doesn't affect me. Normally, I would say, oh, if it's tier 5, you have no chance to succeed because you're only tier 2. And every time you go up a tier, it gets harder. And basically, if you go up more than 2, you become completely ineffective against something. And that's for everything. Fighting, consorting, swaying. If you go to the king and he's tier 6 and you're like, I'm going to fight you and I'm tier 1, there is 0 chance no matter what you roll, you will ever win. But now with Infiltrator, you can basically crack any safe. So that's pretty good. Or disable any security mechanism or whatever. Cool. Okay, we got that. And then next is choose a special, and we did that. Choose a close friend and a rival. So we don't have to use the names on here, but if we look, we see it says on the right, shady friends, and then there's a up arrow and a down arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to basically decide who you're friends with and who you're enemies with. And you just choose one of each. An up arrow means your friends, a down arrow means your enemies. We don't have to use their names or even their stuff. But for now, why don't we start out? I feel like you'd be friends with a locksmith, but maybe not.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like it would.
By the way,
sure.
a blue coat is a cop. It says Dermot, a blue coat.
Oh, well, then I hate Blue Cop is obviously my enemy.
Okay, there's a particular guy out there who's coming after you. Is my mentality, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's
you
fair.
You got that one guy who's like, I swear to God, this was Zinc the Stink again. And everyone's like, you with Zinc the Stink, dude. You always think it's Zinc the Stink. And you're like, he has a signature move. And you're like, sure, whatever, dude. Okay,
and,
so there's a cop who's on your tail.
Yeah, which I think is pretty fitting.
Uh-huh.
And then you know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say a noble is my friend.
Oh,
Because he's giving me inside info on shit to steal.
okay. I like this. So
yeah,
that's perfect. That is exactly the way this game works. Is you just kind of come up with it on the fly, and now that's the thing. We can change their names if you want to later. We don't have to use the recommended ones, but we'll start with that.
I got myself in good with them because I'm like, oh, it'll be good to have a higher up kind of in a high up place, a friend in a high place. So,
oh hell yeah, and I'm sure you give a cut to him and all this.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, because we're
Yeah.
all fucking dirty in this world. So he gets
That's
a little bit of the cut on the side.
Damn straight, and I'm sure that will never come into play, and there won't be any problems with that ever.
Nope, neither. I'm sure there won't be any double
Vice
crossing or anything. Uh-huh.
Yep, I'm sure you won't lose all your money that you're supposed to give to him gambling or anything.
Nope. Nope.
Record your name, alias, and look. And at this point, your character is built.
Sweet. I did it, guys.
I was doing it the whole time. I was following along like a good player.
Awesome. So, Jake, you have a character that you also have built now?
Yeah.
Let's talk about him. Matt, thank you for being the
Guinea pig.
person the guinea pig to start with that.
Of course.
By the way, when you look on your thing, you'll see you also have a harm section. Just know that when you suffer harm, it impairs your ability to function. You don't want to suffer harm. As you suffer more harms, the harms gets more serious. Once you get a harm level of 4, you're dead. So don't do that.
Okay.
And then, like I said, all of these items, these are things that you can just pull out as you do shit. So don't worry about all that.
Okay.
The last thing I'll point out is under playbook advancement at the very bottom, it says mark XP. When we finish a score, you get to take XP that allows you to level up and get more cool stuff based upon how it went. So everybody gets XP every time they roll a desperate action. So if you do stuff that's hard, you get the XP. Everybody gets it if you express your beliefs, drives, heritage, or background. So anytime you do shady shit for nobles, you get XP for that. Anytime you struggle with your vices or traumas during a session. And the last thing is, and this is specific to your character, Matt, you addressed a challenge with stealth or evasion. So as long as you can do that during your scores, then your character will gain XP.
Sweet.
All right. Excellent. So that's Matt Scoundrel, Zinc the Stink. Love him. Is there a way to
So
save?
dumb.
No, you
Save
just
changes.
Oh,
There we go. I'm just being certain. Okay. Jake. Oh, I see. Your character's down here. Ario.
Arlo.
Arlo. Sorry, that's an L. Not
Did you
an
build it in
I.
Roll20? I don't see it.
Yeah.
It's underneath PDFs. I'll pull it up so that everyone can see it. Jake, tell me about Arlo. Who is he?
Arlo is an ex-slave turned, I guess cutter, turned into like a fighter for hire.
Okay.
His alias is Red Ogre. He's not super tall. He's pretty I'd say he's pretty average height. He's like 5'8", 5'6". He's all cut up. He has red hair. That's why he gets the name Red Ogre. And also because he kind of loses his shit when he gets in fights. He kind of just goes crazy and starts murdering people left and right. So every time he's in a battle, he just looks like a red ogre, essentially. Hence the alias.
I will let you know in this world, by the way, that when you murder people during scores, it increases the heat you gain. That's fine. There's abilities to get around that.
I don't know what to tell you, dude. He's a murderer.
That's who he is. Got it. That's okay. Heat's not necessarily bad. It allows for character development and things to happen. So when you score heat, then cops and shit come looking for you. Blue coats and stuff are looking for you guys. That's fine. That's fine. One of his problems might be trying to keep Arlo under control on certain missions. All right, Red Ogre, short red head, violent, and what's his heritage?
I put Skovlin. I just kind of assumed that was like a more of a Viking-esque area.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that's kind of his heritage is, fighting, kind of brutal, I guess, compared to the already brutal landscape.
Yeah, the Skolven area was the last place to be colonized by the Imperium. So they held out the longest in these wars that went on to unite the lands. So I don't know, how did he become a slave? Maybe he always was. Maybe he was born into it. Maybe he was born with it. Maybe something happened. Maybe he was a fighter. I don't know.
My thought is he's been essentially he was enslaved as like a young kid. I guess we could say he got enslaved from when he, after the wars, essentially, he got taken and trained because they saw potential in him. And that's all he's known is death and dismay.
Okay, so he was a slave there, and then when the war kind of freed the land, then he was freed of that, but now he all he knows is how to kill, so that's how he gets by.
Freed. It's just a different master, essentially. They don't call him a slave anymore, but it's kind of ingrained into him.
Are we saying that Skolven had slaves? Was that part of their heritage of that nation?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. That's something that we're going to take into consideration. So that's not part of the book. We just made that up, and that's totally fine. That's how this game works. Maybe that's why why the Imperium was stop. Absolutely not. You're under our control now. No more of this. Okay. So you were underworld, and I'm just going to put a little dash in here and say slave. That was your history and your background. What is your vice?
Pleasure.
What allows... Ooh, pleasure. What does that mean to you?
Whorehouses.
Got it.
It's the only way he can feel, essentially, is going there. And he's not really a great talker, so it's not like he's going to go pick up ladies. So the only way he can really have that connection is just through money.
Yeah, and I imagine also as being growing up and being in, fighting pits and as a slave, it doesn't matter who you are, you still have needs.
Yeah.
And you probably wasn't allowed to fulfill those for many years.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I can see how he probably one time tried that out and was like, oh yeah, this forever now.
Yeah. It's easy for him too. Cause he doesn't have to think about it. It's just he hands money over and then, he gets pleasured.
Yeah. Talking about money, something I want to mention is in this world, we use the term coin to describe a lot of money. So when somebody says, I'm going to pay you 5 coin or 6 coin, we'll mark that on your sheet as saying, I now have 6 coin, but that's just an overarching term to describe a lot of money. When we exchange money in the game for role play reasons, and you say, I go to, a whorehouse and pay someone for indulging my vice and pleasure, you don't actually spend your coin to do that. You just say you do it and you pay them a small amount of money. It's very much so like how when we did D&D and we were like, I buy the drinks. And I'm not going to sit there and go, okay, well, that's 10 copper. Let me take that out of your thing. We gave up that a long time ago. It's just too much to track. So anytime that you say you're paying someone to do something, unless it's a huge ask, I'm not going to actually ask you to pay coin. You'll just say you do it. Just so you know, just so you're not like if Matt's character loses money gambling, I'm not actually going to take his money away.
I mean, you should.
Right. We'll just say that he succeeded and or he failed. Right. Same thing with you as you roll. And here's what's fun: when you indulge your vice, you roll dice to see how good it went. So we get to decide. If you roll a 1, we get to talk about what happened. Okay, very good. And what do you have as a special ability?
Special ability, I put not to be trifled with. So I can push myself to do one of the following: perform a feat of physical force that verges on superhuman, and engage a small gang on equal footing in close combat. I kind of figured that kind of would go well with his kind of Red Ogre-esque thing where I think like how he got his name was that someone found him amongst like a bunch of other scoundrels all dead on the ground with like him just covered in blood.
Yeah. Is he a good looking guy or is he kind of looks like an ogre?
I kind of like, I think he was a good looking guy at one point. But
everyone's good looking if they have money.
Yeah. He's pretty scarred though. Like his face he just has a lot of scars across his face from all the fights.
He's a cutter. He's been beat to shit over the course of his career.
So
that's fair.
I think he is decent looking. Like he would be handsome if he didn't have like his face wasn't like slightly disfigured. Like he probably has like burn marks on his face and like part of his ear missing and like just cuts all over his face. And when he takes his shirt off, he's just scarred from
head to toe.
Yeah.
Got it. So not to be trifled with, normally if you said, oh, I just got in a bar fight and I'm alone and I'm against 5 guys and I have only my fists and they all have knives, I would normally say, okay, what are you going to do? And if your character said, I'm going to fight them, I would say, okay, well, this has limited effect. Even if you roll super good, I mean, I don't care who you are. You're not going to be able to take on 6 guys with weapons if you're alone and you only, and if you say, well, I'm going to use my special ability not to be trifled with, I would say, in that case, you're going to have a step up in your effect. I'm going to go ahead and give you standard effect, meaning that if you roll good, you're going to knock all these guys out.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's something that a cutter could do that other people would not be able to. All right, let's talk about your who you're cool with and who you're not.
My friend is Sawtooth Psyker. Is that how you say that?
Physiker. He's a physician.
Yeah. I figured that would make the most sense just because I'm probably injured a lot. That's probably one of the people I see the most often.
Sure.
And then my enemy is Mercy, a cold killer. I kind of figured that we've just been on separate jobs on the kind of opposite ends a lot of the times to where like we both have tried to kill each other quite a few times and it just never happened. We've injured each other, left scars and whatnot, but we've never actually finished the job.
Okay. Another scoundrel who you often come to blows with, who is an equal to you.
Yeah.
But on opposite sides. Got it. Okay. And again, those names can be changed however you see fit. And I see that you put points in, you start out with skirmish and command, and then you put a point in what else?
I put a point into survey and a point into rec. So survey is, let me see. I survey a location or situation to understand what's going on, sense of trouble before it happens, or gather information about opportunities.
It's perception.
Yeah. I've kind of figured I have a good battle awareness is kind of where I was going with that. And then wreck, I just like to wreck shit. Just simple as that. I throw things at people, like destroy.
You're a big strong guy. You can smash stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Okay, that's your character. You have, I can't tell whether or not you're supposed to start with 5 or 4 points. I got to look into that. We might take one of those away. We'll figure it out later.
Do I have 5?
You have 5 right now, but don't worry about it. We'll figure that out later. That can always be changed.
Yeah, I'll just take one out of survey and then I have one in rec.
Sure. I might have you all add one later. I got to figure it out. It says add 2, but you start with 3, but it says total 4. I don't know. I'm confused. I'll figure that out later. That's an easy fix later. Okay, that is Arlo, the Red Ogre, as it is now going to be paired up with Zinc the Stink. Somehow, we'll figure that out later. Who wants to go next?
Go ahead, hon.
I can.
Christy, it is.
Okay, so I'm going to be a slide. I don't know how to change it.
Because yours says butt slut.
Well, I know, but it was still showing the stats for
Cutter?
a cutter. I can't.
There you go. I went ahead and pulled up slide for you. Can you see that?
It's loading. So give it a second.
A lot of
While
times
it's
you got to
loading,
X
I can
out of
start-
it and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
put it
okay.
back up.
But while it's loading, I can start to fill things out. Christy,
Okay.
what is your slide's name?
So my slide's name is Lila, the
Spell that for me.
Executioner Driggs.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay. Can you spell Lila for me?
Lila.
Lila, and her alias is the Executioner.
Mm-hmm.
hell yeah.
I spelled Executioner very wrong. I'll fix it later. And then you said Driggs?
Driggs.
D-R-
Driggs.
2 G's. Okay. And tell me about Lila. What's her background? What's her heritage?
So Lila is going to be from Aruvia.
Ruvia.
And
Okay.
she's from a noble background.
Okay. The noble executioner.
Well, she basically is going to be like, she's like a companion, a high-end companion.
Ah,
Yes.
I see.
And she likes the fine things in life. So her vice will be luxury.
Luxury. Okay.
She's a bit of a shopaholic.
XURI. Excellent. Okay. And what's she look like at a glance?
Okay, you described what those people typically look like, so I don't recall if there's like
Oh, they're
darker
kind of
skin,
like
right?
they're kind of like bronze skinned, sort of. But again, this world can be anything you like. We haven't had
Yes.
anyone from Aruvia yet, so we can make it up.
Okay,
But
yeah, so
you can make
she's-
them look however you want to.
She's gonna have dark skin, dark sleek black hair, and she's going to be wearing a fitted dress with tall boots and a vest.
Fitted dress.
And
Tall
lots and
boots.
lots of jewelry.
This is and as a slide, let's remember what a slide is, because I forgot for a second. Slides are a subtle manipulator and spy. Oh, right.
Mhm.
So now I kind of get what you're building here.
Yeah.
So she's a noble spy. Ooh, I love it. Sounds great. And we have, where do you want to put your 2 points? She starts out with 2 in sway and 1 in consort. So this lady is able to make connections and then manipulate people easily through what
Yeah.
it sounds like just being the center of attention. Maybe, I don't know. You tell me how she does it. How else does she do stuff?
She's definitely a manipulator, so I'm not sure what the
You already got 2 in sway, and that's the most
In
you can start
sway.
with.
Okay.
But you can also command people like threateningly, or you can be very,
No.
you can like subtly take things from people. Maybe you just like survey the room to find out how things go, study people. How would you?
Yeah, she wants to be. She's more subtle, so I definitely want more of like either study or survey. Which one's more like people? Yeah, I'm gonna say survey then.
Okay, that's like perception. You
Yeah.
read the room, and you could now as a reminder, you guys can use any skill for anything. So in some of these instances, when you're like, I don't know, do I study? Do I survey? I'm like, whatever. You choose one, and then as long as it remotely makes sense, I'll give it to you. If you're doing
And we
something
do
in
get more points later, right?
Oh,
As
totally.
we build
As
it.
you
Yeah,
do
so-
things, you get better at stuff. So you get more
Yeah.
points then. So don't think this is like the end of it. And then, I don't know. We'll just stick with that for now. Again, I don't know if you get another point. And then the last thing is your special abilities.
Yes. So special ability, I want to take the. Ooh.
Some of these are really fun with the slide. For
I
example,
know. I really like the cloak and dagger one.
Cloak and Dagger. When you use a disguise or other form of covert misdirections, you get +1 rolls to confuse or deflect suspicion. When you throw off your disguise, the resulting surprise gives you an initiative in a situation. So you can pretty much just at any point be super disguise sneaky oriented.
In other terms, you can
there's
slide
also
right in.
Yeah, there's also looking into a mirror. You can always tell
know.
when someone is lying to you.
I like that one too. And I think I'm between looking in a mirror or subterfuge, I think.
Subterfuge. You may expend one of your special armors, that's just like an ability, to resist the consequences from suspicion or persuasion or to push yourself in subterfuge. So understand that resistance, by the way, this is a good time to talk about
Yeah.
resistance. Anytime something happens that you guys just don't like let's say you're like, oh, I rolled and somebody pushed me to fall off a building and I don't want that to happen, you can just resist it. You can say, you know what, I don't want that to happen. I'm going to roll resistance. And then you roll, and depending upon how good you roll is how much stress you take. But you can just kind of say, you know what, for the sake of the story, I really don't want that to happen, and I'm just going to resist that consequence. So the subterfuge ability gives you some abilities to resist consequences associated with people finding out who you are. So if you're trying to be sneaky and stealthy and somebody spots you, you can just say, no, they don't.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to be more manipulative than I want to be sneaky. So I'm just not
Trust
sure
in me. You get a
Trust
+1
in me,
die
probably.
versus a target who you have an intimate relationship.
Yeah, maybe I'll do trust in me. And I've been around
Yeah.
the block, so I've got a lot of relationships.
No, I mean, that's what your character does.
Yeah.
You can always change it later. Again, this is just,
Yeah.
we're just kind of doing
go
this
with
on the
that one.
fly. All right. And then friends and enemies. Drug dealers, gang leaders, tavern owners, prostitutes,
Yeah.
and jailbirds.
So Baz, the gang leader,
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
he is going to be pursuing me as
Okay, not your
he
friend.
wants to take. No, he is my friend. He wants
Oh, he's your
to-
friend.
He was a client, and he wants me to settle down with him and be his gang leaderess.
Ah.
But I refuse
gang
to
queen.
settle down with him.
And for some reason,
His
you're going to
gang
join this
queen.
crew instead with Zinc
Yeah.
the Stink.
Well, he wants me to marry him and be his, and that's just not my vibe. So
Got it.
no.
Got it. Okay.
And
so,
then
so this is your friend, but it's not
He
your
is-
vibe.
he is my friend because I basically
Use
can
him.
use him anytime
Yeah,
I need. 'Cause
yeah.
he is
I got it.
wrapped around my finger.
Yeah, you got this guy on the friend zone and he doesn't like it. Okay, got it. What else?
Yes.
And then who's your enemy?
And then Nyrix is my enemy. She is a rival manipulator prostitute who I do not like.
How dare she?
Okay. So she's
And we have
another
got- we have
spy. sort of
Similar
person. Yeah.
similar marks that we have to keep watching out for.
Perfect. All right, we got them. And again, these names can be changed. You can make this however you want, but we'll start with that. Cool. So we have Lila Driggs, the Executioner Driggs, also known as the Executioner Drig, who is a subtle, sly, and manipulator from Aruvia with her dark skin and her sleek black hair. Excellent. There she is. She's built. Great job. And Brian, that leaves you with your character.
All right. Well, because she's going to be kind of dealing in, information gathering type. I was leaning toward Spider because you had said it, and I was just kind of digging into it. But I think
You can be anything you want, and don't worry, you might get a chance to make other characters because I might kill them.
I'm going to go another direction. I'm going to go. Hound.
Oh,
Hound.
Mm.
Ow. Nice.
You're gonna scare your kitty.
No, he doesn't give a shit. He's too stupid to know what that sound is.
So there's your hound. What's his name?
His name is Rufus.
Rufus. Does Rufus have an alias?
Uh,
Doesn't have to. He can just be like, "Hey, I'm Rufus."
I'm thinking of
Roofy.
a couple, and a couple are a little too on the nose. So I'm gonna think of something a little more clever.
Oh, we can do it later. No problem. Where's he from? What's his heritage?
Yeah, I'll go Severos then.
Okay. Severos is a windswept plain of hunters, so a hound is not a crazy thing to be. Severos it is. What is his background, Rufus?
I'd say he's military.
Military. Alrighty. And what's his vice? What does he do to de-stress?
It's
Faith.
probably stupor, I would imagine.
Stupor. How would you describe stupor?
Well, I guess just indulging in mind-altering stuff, whether
likes,
it be
likes drugs and alcohol.
drink, smoke, snort, inject, whatever.
Whatever it may be at the
That's
time.
I spelled alcohol wrong. I'll fix it later. Okay. And what's he look like? I'm just quickly
Really
typing.
putting Ben's spelling skills to the
Yeah, I'm not a great
here.
speller, and there's no autocorrect on this. What's he look like?
He's sort of
Michael Jackson.
what's that?
No, Christy went hee. I sounded like Michael Jackson to me.
Yeah, I haven't quite worked that out. I've got it like he kind of has, it's like a high collared vest. He's got dark hair. He's got a goatee. And he's just kind of got like, just tools and shit just all over me. He's got like couple pistols, and he's got,
Oh, he's strapped.
he's strapped.
Oh,
Yeah, and understand that when you actually do scores, you can not be that if you wish to. It's not like at any given time I'm gonna be like, no, you said you had guns all over you. They know, you can be whatever you want. Okay, so he's strapped. Tell me about his special abilities. Sharpshooter, focused, ghost hunter, scout. What do you feel like this guy is?
Ghost Hunter sounded so cool.
I mean, in the world of Severos, these are nomadic horse tribes that live off the land. So a hunter who can pick off ghosts at a distance is not something that would be unsurprising to me.
Yeah, so Ghost Hunter.
Yeah. So it says your hunting pet is imbued with spirit energy. It gains potency when tracking or fighting the supernatural and gains an arcane ability, ghost form, mind link, or arrow swift. Take this ability again to choose an additional arcane ability for your pet. What kind of pet do you have?
I think I want.
Keep in mind that animals are fairly rare in this world because most of them get eaten as a source of food. So you have a trained hunting pet, and you don't always have to have your trained hunting pet on you at all times, but that is something that you can at any point say they're with you. It's something that would hunt. So I don't know if that's a dog or a falcon or whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I was going to be like a wolf or a falcon. Let's go wolf for now.
Wolf for now. Okay. I'll just say that I'll write it next to your look that you have a wolf for now, or a big ass dog of some form. We can always decide that it's different later. Okay. Awesome. And then your last thing is you start out with 2 in hunt and 1 in survey. What else can you do good? So you're good at shooting things at a distance and studying the land. But are you also good at fighting? Are you good at sneaking around? Are you agile? Do you tell people what to do and they listen to you via like intimidation? Like, what's your guys' vibe?
So what? Can you explain finesse to me again? That's
Dexterity, sleight of
dexterity.
hand, sneaky,
Yeah,
not so much
let's go
sneaky,
that.
but more sleight of hand. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
That's a
go
good
that.
one. Don't get me wrong. I mean, for a character who is like that. Okay. Awesome. You got friends and enemies. And again, we can change all of this. Like, at any point you can say, you know what? I actually decided that I want my enemy to be, it doesn't have to be on this list. It can be another tracker for some reason. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I can change all this. I can make it say whatever.
I'd say Casta is my enemy.
Casta, a bounty hunter. Okay.
Ooh.
You guys seem to, are you more like a bounty hunter or are you something else?
No, I don't think I'd say that. I'm
Okay.
like,
Why is Casta your enemy? Like, what is it that's
well,
going
I
on
think
that-
it's,
Are they after you?
I guess what I'm envisioning is that we were part of the same military outfit or part of the same tribe or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, more of rivals, not really enemies, but rivals.
Got it. That totally works. All right. Who's your friend?
I think Melvir.
Physiker?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, somebody has to dig lead out of you occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
You should just
All
have
right,
the
so-
same physician.
It might be. I might change their names and make it the same guy just for the sake of being like that. Maybe that's how you guys know each other. Okay, awesome. So that is your character. Cool. And I already put down a trained hunting pet. Items, a pair of fine pistols, a fine long rifle. That's all stuff that you just get to have on your sheet as you do stuff. So let's go ahead and save this character. There we go. So there's the 4 characters that we got. We have Lila, the Executioner, a subtle manipulator and spy. We have Brian's character, Rufus, the Hound, a hunter. We have Jake's character, who he put over here. There we go. Arlo, the Cutter, short red-haired man. And then we have ex-slave. And then we have Matt's character, Zink the Stink, as Matt would do, a somewhat joke character, the Lurk, who is a subtle infiltrator. And these guys are going to come together somehow. We'll decide that in episode 1. We'll talk about it later, to form a crew. Well, I think that does it for today. Thank you so much, guys. I'm interested to see how these guys come together to find themselves in some type of event where they have to be friends, or maybe they already are friends. We'll talk about that, and we'll describe that in episode 1. We'll also talk about what kind of crew they are. Then we'll decide that later. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys get involved in all kinds of shit immediately.
Debauchery.
I'm sure it'll happen very quickly. I look forward to it, guys. We'll also come up with some other stuff off air, like what we're going to call this part of the story, yada, yada, yada. You guys got any questions before we go?
No.
When do I get to start cutting?
Episode 1, probably almost immediately.
I'm a cutter. When do I cut?
When do I get to cut?
When you decide to. When you decide to. Okay, we're going to go ahead and clip this one off for now. We'll see you guys next time. Nope, that's not it. Son of a bitch. Where the fuck is it?
Jake, you're loving this, huh?
Oh, dude, it feels so good.
All right, here it is.